Hey, what's up everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. Today we are covering Chasing Atlanta. This is season 7, episode 2. I am a week behind. If you're watching this today, yes, I've been under the weather, but I'm back. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Now let's get into this week's episode. All right, y'all. So yeah, I was under the weather last week and just could not make it. I'm back, but you're getting this video today, but I will have episode 3 up tomorrow. So I'm going to get back on my rotation and get everything popping. So yeah, so from this last week's episode, it was pretty good too. We start off with Dominique and Noelle. They basically just recap what was going on at Quentin's or Q's event, Fab event. Fashion and Bites, I think it was. They're still kind of harping on the fashions. They're not really getting couture as they think that Q is trying to offer them. And of course, last week we talked about fashion. It doesn't have to be a label, which is very true. However, if you're going to show up someplace trying to down someone else's fashions and you're not up to par, even though you say that you can put stuff together, that don't work. They harp more on Sebastian's hot dogs. Like, why in the world would you have fashion couture with hot dogs? I get it. From what I remember listening to another review of YB Speaks, I think they are, if that's their name, the content creator on YouTube. He said that Q actually got in his comments and stood up for himself and let it be known what was actually going on between Q and Sebastian. It was a story that was presented by production for them to come together to collaborate. One, if you remember, Q was supposed to be the creative stylist or director for Sebastian's promo. Remember, he was dressing up like Cowboy Carter, like Sebastian was, for his hot dog line, hot dog business. But he says that was more curated by production to try to tie these two together as friends and all of that, and then also to mix in business with the collab with business as far as with his fashion show that he had. Q also said that there was more to eat than hot dogs, even though that was what was profiled or highlighted on the show. Dominique was not a fan of the hot dogs, blah blah blah. Now Sebastian sits down and Dominique's whole mood changes. Now he got all rave reviews for Sebastian. And then Sebastian was like, well, why didn't you eat them? Dominique said, well, you know, I'm going to smash, and I couldn't eat those hot dogs. I mean, that's a easy way to get out of it. And Noelle's looking at him like, no, why you got to be fake? I would say in these last 2 episodes, Dominique has been showing up where his integrity is questionable. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how things are going to go later on in the season, but we're going to set some things on the table. In regards to you, Dominique, I don't have anything against you, but I'm seeing how you're moving thus far in these first 2 episodes. And it's like, what? You can't be straight up? They did talk about Q to see where he's at. And nobody's really hearing from him since the event. And Dominique's not really liking that. They talked about Noelle going viral. I saw the picture some time ago, but I guess it first started on Facebook and it made its way to Twitter, where I seen it at. And of course, with the gay community, seeing a feminine gay with some masculine men is a no-no. I find it just really weird and crazy at how the community really acts. Because there's no reason to keep all this attention on why the straights so obsessed with us, when y'all act just like them. Like you've just brought your learned behaviors from the straight community over here. And now we gotta separate the groups here. Only femmes hang with femmes, can only date femmes. Femmes and femmes need to date femmes. Why are you trying to date all the masculine people? Why are all the masculine people only attracted to other masculine dudes? At the end of the day, I can't tell you your identity, because as how the LGBTQIA community plus a community is evolving. Of course, we do have sexual identity, and we also have like sexual preferences. You may have been born male. You're attracted to men. And I just don't understand why there's this hierarchy of how you're supposed to, who you're supposed to be attracted to, who you're supposed to date, who you're supposed to marry. I think it's so crazy. Anyways, Dominique was like, you need to take this time to, what is it? I'm using the word cash in, but he used another word. At this moment, make a profit off of your pain. They wanted to use this as an embarrassment since you weren't supposed to be around those male dudes, male gay dudes. Really, right now, cash in on it. And I agree with him. Do what you got to do. Put it in your music. I would definitely make a music video. And I would put all of the most masculine men that you know. And they're your friends too, so put them back up in there. Put them in a sexual type of situation. All that. Whatever you got to do. And just make the people gag and be more infuriated as they are. So we leave that scene. We move on to Sammy. Sammy, we do get a little bit more intimate with his home life with his fiance. They were together for, or have been together for 15 years, is it? And been engaged, was it 4 or 5 years or so? Again, we don't know all the ins and outs of their relationship. For me, I'm just assuming that even in this whole 15 years, that they did break up at some point. But they've made it last. Or went on breaks, I'll say that much. Anyways, they talk a little bit about Sammy's music, but also the wedding. And immediately, the fiance gets stressed out. All I can say is, to me, the wedding shouldn't be that important as far as the ceremony and the whole extravaganza type of situation. No. Go to the courthouse and then later on have some type of wedding celebration with whomever you want. And stop giving all these people all your money that don't even really support you. Unless you can find some good ones. And since you're in the Atlanta area, you could possibly find some queer people that actually support and are allyship as far as with queer weddings. But yeah, I think that is the best solution. Dominique did invite Noel, but there is an event with Alfea and Noel and Nova. I think Noel wrote or walked in it. Anyways, it's a one runway walkway. He invited those 3 individuals along with himself to walk in a runway. I think that that's cool. I think that it's great that you did include your cast and let them be seen and all that good stuff. Alfea, modeling is definitely for you. You got the walk. I love what you gave. I think that this is a major in your life and continue to do it. She really did her thing. Dominique, you did your thing too. Chest all out. You had your dog with you walking down there. Dominique said that this is the first time that he's ever walked with his dog, and you did very well. Nova, your face is really flawless. There are things that you do say, and I'm trying to separate how you feel now in your confessionals to what's going on in the story. It's hard. She makes comments about Alfea. As you know, last episode, Nova had comments saying some things were like really off-putting. She does it again. And trying to shade her with a model that is ugly beautiful. And talking about Alfea's features. Right now, it's distasteful. Listening to an interview that Dominique did last week, there's a reason as to why Nova is doing what Nova is doing. One, Nova is narrating in the green screens based on how she feels now about Alfea. There's some things going on down the line that make Alfea and Nova come to blows. I don't know what happened. I don't know how far Alfea goes. I just don't know if I'm going to be a fan of that. I don't know. I'll just have to see how really bad it goes. As far as why Nova has to react the way that she is. But right now, it's a no. It's a no. I'm hearing how people are talking, so I'll just try to keep it at a minimum, but I got to go by what's going on right now. And what's in front of my face, unfortunately. What's the next thing? Okay, Alfea. Alfea goes to the studio, and she's recording. Her son is with her. Of course, we know that she's a single mom. She had been with her boyfriend for 8 years. It was on and off type of situation. And she said the only light thing or good thing that's come out of that relationship is her son, who is like 2 or 3. She doesn't have that much help as far as with babysitting, so she brought the child to the studio. Of course, the child, Harley, is letting her do her thing. However, she loves him. She has this song, is it called Letters to My Son? Letting her climb all over her and all that good stuff. I think the son's gonna be a singer too. She talks with the producer. We get a little insight as to, I guess we're gonna find out what has gone on with this ex-boyfriend, because look, all I know is what's in the YouTube streets is that there's something gonna come out about this dude that is not gonna be great. And I think Nova is a catalyst for revealing that tea. So I guess we just gotta wait to see what happens in regards to that. Next, we meet up with Noel. Sammy meets him at the studio. Now, I'll just say this much. Noel, you rap like a ninja. A ninja. I said, okay, I like it. You know that there's, how can I say this? I don't want to say there's a stereotype, but I think kind of a trope with queer entertainers. They kind of sound alike or do the same things, but I like the way that your lyrics, I think that you're very smart. I think that you're very choicey with the words and a great flow as to what you're doing with your lyrics, and I want to hear more from you, Noel. So Noel and Sammy, they sit down and they talk a little bit about the music industry, bookings, and how should they charge for bookings and all of that. And some people want to do it for free and they ask you to come, da 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 da. All I can say is always have a contract up front. Always have a contract. And the best thing I can tell you to do is ask people what is their budget to have me, and you can determine if you're going to do it. However, some people will tell you, oh yeah, we can do this, and then don't fulfill their obligations. I get that also. Not a lot of people are integral in that way. A lot of people want to use you and use your gifts up and don't want to pay you for your time work. And I think that that's crazy. I think it was a good talk. Sammy had his own opinions. Noel was listening and absorbing and all that. Da 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 da. Next, Dominique and Tramel, they meet. Since we found out last week that Dominique and Tramel know each other, how they knew each other is what we need to get down to the specifics. Dominique was upset that Tramel got on the show and didn't tell him. So he was trying to play in Tramel's face. Tramel does meet with him and he brings that up, like, what was that all about? Well, we haven't even heard from each other for a while, da 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 da. And at least you could have called me. I thought that our relationship was different from that. They talk about why Dominique hasn't been around or even communicating as much, because Tramel was saying, I've been wanting to hang with you. He's like, I don't want to hang around you and Creepy Carl. Creepy Carl is K-Star. Carl, who's now on the show, who is supposed to be on this upcoming episode, starting up. He's a part of the main cast, which is Tramel's friend. So obviously there's history between Dominique and Creepy Carl. And I hate that is getting attached to Carl, because that's just crazy. From what Dominique was describing as to why he don't want to be around Tramel, and for some reason he made the excuse that he thought that the only way that they're going to hang out is if they're at Tramel's home. Tramel and Carl, they do stay together, but there's no other way that y'all can hang around. But I guess some time ago, Tramel and Dominique used to flirt with each other. They kissed. Dominique said they only made it to the first base, nothing else happened, da 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 da. But there was a lot of banter and all of that, but nothing really got started between them. He did say that he's glad that nothing did happen, because that could have been used against him now that they're both on the same show. That could possibly. I don't see that as Tramel being that messy and trying to. I don't see that, but I don't know Tramel like that at all, and don't know what people are capable of. But that doesn't seem like his heart as far as what I've seen thus far. But anyways, I do get what Dominique is saying. However, I don't see that Tramel would have been a problem in that way. But yeah. I don't know what to think about that scene, because it's like, Dominique, you're making excuses. and just not, I think, owning your part as just falling by the wayside. And you're using Carl as an excuse to not really want to be, I guess, as friendly as you and Tramel are supposed to be, in my opinion, from how you are describing things and whatever. Next is the ball. It's a cast event. Everyone shows up but Q. Also, Dominique said things with, and Tramel said things about the fashion show. They talked about the hot dog situation yet again. Of course, Tramel needed a more selection because he does not eat beef hot dogs. You know, that's just not his thing. And it's mentioned again about Q not showing up. And Dominique says that I gave him all my contact information. Everybody has everyone's information of who they can stay in contact with. Nobody's heard from Q, and they are wondering what's up. There's something that's going to come down later in the pipeline in regards to what's going on with Q. I don't know, for whatever reason, as I said in the first episode, I had no clue what was going on, but I have taken a liking to Q up front. He is kind of a fish out of water with this group, and I guess it's up to him. I got to see how he moves later on in the season, but there's going to be much resistance, and now that it seems like you're not trying to be around the group, they're going to really try to, I don't want to say push you out, but they're going to give you a lot of resistance. We get to the ball. Now, I've never been to a ball. I'm not too familiar with the ball scene, and I'm only really getting familiar with it since Renaissance came out. Even though it wasn't really about the ball scene, it was about queer culture. But I'm just learning a lot about that at this point. So, Toni Price, she's walking in 4 events, I think it is. Noelle's gonna be walking, and everyone else is gonna be watching. From what I'm learning is that balls take a very long time. They got there super early as a cast and had to sit there. And to get in, it's a cost. To eat, it's another cost. There was food there, and some thought that it was a part of the package to get in, like a fee, but to find out that they're not really supposed to eat that, they need to pay for that. I think we first see Noelle. He's in a category of face, and he's doing a good job from what I can see. And he took a little bit too much more time, or longer time. It's his first time walking, and I think he thought that he won, but he didn't. Whomever one of the, I don't know, assistant people came and had to kind of pull him back and say, hey, it's over. We done found our winner. It's the other guy that he was competing up against that won. Toni did her thing in those categories. I don't know if they announced the winner for her. But anyways, at this point, it's late. The group meets outside, and Nova, she is disgruntled because she thought that she was supposed to be walking in the show. From what we know, Nova, you were just invited to come. But Nova was under the impression that she was supposed to be walking, and Toni hasn't been in touch with her, and then she ends up saying, well, you know, grannies, but replace that with a T at the beginning. For me, I am not a fan of all of these queer slurs. I don't care who you are. People say, oh, that's just the lingo. Why, though? From an intellectual place, why would you do that? And then y'all will say stuff like, oh, we repurposed it. No, you still use it the same way as it has been used as a slur, as bigotry. You still use it when you want to. When you want to call somebody an agate, you do. And why? Why? But you're so upset when the straights do it. I don't think that there is no real way that you can actually use that in a right way. Excuse me. No, so inappropriate. They ask about Q again. Sebastian tried to take up for Q and say he's working. Dominique was like, well, we all work. And I agree. I can't defend that. We all work, and we got to show up, and we got to film, no complaints from me about that. Nova ends up going home. I think that everything wasn't done as of yet. Toni comes out, and they end up spilling the tea about Nova being upset, saying that she should have been walking. And of course, Toni was like, look, I'll handle that. No, you weren't. And if you wanted to be a part of this, you let me know. Last we heard that Nova didn't even know the categories of what a ball is. She's just interested in it, but she doesn't know what to do in all of that. And to just say that you thought that you were supposed to walk, you weren't even ready to do it. So, hey, hopefully things get a little bit better between Tony and Nova. But that was the end of the show. I liked it. I enjoyed myself. I'm ready for episode 3. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I will have my next review on it. I appreciate everyone for being consistent with my channel and being patient with me. Like this video. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And subscribe. And until the next one, peace.